a little after 1 a.m. here on a Tuesday morning, and I'm delighted to be joined by Mike Thornton and Jake Podger from the Nickel City Mafia. How are you guys?
Doing great, Trev. Doing great. We're all Irish today. Of course, I am Irish. My last name, Thornton, is very Irish, but got to support the channel with the glasses.
You're looking the part. You're looking the part. And Jake, how are you, my friend?
Top of the morning, lads. I got my Irish Bills Mafia mug right here. Thank you very much for this, by the way, Trev. I got a little bit of Coke Zero in here right now. It's not coffee, but nonetheless, appreciate you having us on, and really excited for the show, sir.
Love it, love it.
Oh, and the cap, Mike. The cap is the part.
That's the mafia right there. That's the mafia hat, right?
That's right.
I'm just smoking a cigar right now. That's all I need.
Right.
It looks the part, so it does. I'm delighted to be joined by you. Since I started doing this, you have been there for me. You're two of my best friends, and it's nice to have you online and have you together because your show is brilliant and amazing. And just for the start, thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, appreciate it,
pleasure,
Trev. Of course, wouldn't miss it. We've been keeping an eye on you. We love your content. I mean, you had some Bills players on your show, right? You had John Fina. I remember that one. Super jealous. We haven't. Who else?
Jerry Ostrowski.
Yeah, Jerry. So it's been fantastic, man.
Yeah, I was lucky to have both of them come on last year. Their shows, no more than your own, has taken off. There were two very interesting guys and very easy to talk to. Like, you know, when you look at the guys today, they're Jerry and John seem to be more down to earth for what they achieved in their Bills history. Some, not saying Bills players, but some players they get carried away and goes to their head. But these guys know their football and they're very easy to talk to.
Definitely. Just like Jake. Jake's very easy to talk to. So
I appreciate
that. As easy as you can. I mean, there's not a friendlier person than this guy right here.
Wow.
No, 100%. No, and yourself, Mike. Not the two. You're A1. So we're going to have a good old chat about Bills football, NFL football, and all the crack that goes with it tonight. We'll start off with preseason. So we did take a bit of a hiding last night at the Bears. I heard your show today. Well, heard your show. I do have it on and be listening to it as I'm pottering around. And it's very interesting in your points. But as a preseason in so far, what are your thoughts on it? And was last night's game any good to us whatsoever?
Always Jake. He's a younger guy. I'm going to let him go first.
Work away, Jake.
Well, Mike, listen, I don't know how preseason used to be back in the dynasty days when we went to 4 straight Super Bowls, but I'll be honest with you. Am I concerned maybe a touch at a specific position, and that might be the safety position, right? Because, you know, we got this kid, Jordan Hancock, who looks unbelievable. Probably looks like the best safety on this roster, although Taylor Rapp hasn't played a single snap in the preseason. So if there's one position maybe I'm a little concerned with, it's the safety position. But I'm a Cole Bishop truther. I said this guy was going to be Harrison Smith 2.0, and I still believe he can be that guy. I think it's just a matter of him getting fully healthy. You know, this is his first game action in quite some time. He's trying to figure things out a little bit here and there. So, you know, I still have a lot of faith, Trev. What we saw last night, yeah, it was tough to watch. 38-0. That's horrendous. I mean, there's no two ways about it, right? They almost had 600 yards of total offense on us. We made the Chicago Bears look like the Buffalo Bills of the 1990s. You know, it was hard. It was definitely tough to watch. I gutted through it. And while there were a ton of negatives, there were still some positives there. They were trying to give some guys some looks and, you know, players playing in positions that they don't necessarily play all the time. Chase Lunt playing a little bit of guard. We had Brandon Codrington playing nickel. You know, I don't think that guy is going to be on the field as a corner per se. He's going to be a return guy. So, you know, there's a lot of things that have been going on. I don't think you got to read too much into it. But at the same time, just kind of be wary, head on a swivel. But at the end of the day, we'll be totally fine. I'm good with it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jake. I'm not concerned at all, but it's kind of a two. I said this on our show last night. It's a tale of two teams, right? Buffalo Bills, Super Bowl contenders. They want to evaluate talent. We have most of our team coming back from last year. Want to keep them healthy. They actually got reps in the scrimmage game, the joint scrimmage game on Friday. I'm good with that. Why put them out there? Why risk them? A lot of people think, well, why aren't we playing them? Because they want to build that chemistry. Well, this team's already built chemistry. The whole offense is coming back for the most part, minus maybe Mac Hollins. And I don't know, maybe a fourth or fifth receiver, but most of the offense is coming back. So they have that chemistry. They don't need to be out there playing. And like I said, the Bears, they got a new head coach, Ben Johnson, and they're looking to build that confidence, get things worked out under his scheme, and go into the season with a winning attitude. So it's just a tale of two different teams. I'm not worried whatsoever. Although, Jake, after I thought about it, and I think you mentioned this as well, it's one thing when the backups are losing to the first teamers on the Bears, right? Because we really had no first teamers out there. But when the backups of the Bears are whooping the backups of the Bills, that's where it gets a little concerning, because you definitely want to see some of these rookies stand out. And I don't know. We didn't see a lot of that at all. And I don't know if you mentioned the three that I'm most focused on are those defensive linemen that right? Deion Walker, Landon Jackson, who's my guy. I'm pulling for him. I'm pulling for all of them. And then TJ Sanders. Those are the guys I'm most focused on. PFF scores are out. Didn't look too good, Jake. but we talked about this. Here's a guy, here's all our seconds, our draft, our rookies out there. It's going to look a lot different if that one of those guys are out there on the field with our starters, right? Completely different. You got all these guys that are just learning the NFL. It's not going to go too well. And PFF reflected that last night, and it's what we saw on the field, but I'm not worried at all.
Yeah, like it's the score. Like as I was talking to you off camera, Mike. Like last year, the Bears blew us out in Buffalo, and their preseason was brilliant. Our preseason was very scratchy, and then when the season kicked off, away we went. But my view on preseason, I made a comment in your show today, is I think it's a waste of time, as in these games. I would training like the reps they had during the week. Didn't they have some reps with the Bears during the week?
Yeah, Friday.
Yes, that would stand an awful lot better to them than. And I know what you said, your point about the NFL losing money, and yes, they would lose money, but for the team would stand an awful lot better to them than going out there having players play in positions that they normally wouldn't play.
Yeah, like Jake, for instance, college football doesn't have a preseason, right? Why not just have all the training and just go out there? Okay, day one, you're going out there, no preseason games. I kind of like Trev's point there. It'll never happen because the NFL doesn't want to lose all that money for preseason games, but it's a great idea. I loved it. Love his thought there.
The National Football League is a great marketing group, a total takeover, honestly, of all countries, including Ireland, Trev. I mean, best over there. I mean, Bill's Mafia has kind of creeped its way over there on account of you just being that guy, right, to bring up some notoriety with the Buffalo Bills. But, on top of that, you just look at what the NFL has been able to do in terms of marketing. It's like now is the time of year where you're kind of just giving people a little bit of a sprinkle of what the NFL season is going to look like. You can kind of scout some of these players that are up and coming. Maybe guys are investing in their fantasy team. Maybe they're in a deep fantasy league where they want to pick up some guys that are going to be like more role players or backups. So for the hardcore NFL fans, I feel like the preseason is awesome because it's like, hey, it's football. It's still pro football. And these are guys that are putting their lives on the line trying to compete for a job. So I understand where you're coming from. I think, doing away with it altogether and then just maybe having that joint practices thing is a good idea. But in another sense, when it is in like an actual game time situation and you have these, third, fourth string guys that are out there, there are a lot of guys that will make names for themselves and show that they can play in these big time situations. It's totally different when the lights are turned on and you have fans in the crowd. And, I think you talk about pressure in general. The pressure is a little bit higher as compared to a practice that's together with these teams. So while it may be a little more meaningless for these starters, I think it's definitely more meaningful for these guys that are roster bubble guys or, dudes that are just trying to make the team in general. So, you think of some guys in the past, even in the more recent past, like Victor Cruz, right? Like he went off against the Jets. He was a no-name guy. And I remember there was a clip from Hard Knocks, actually, because I think the Jets were doing Hard Knocks that year. And Rex Ryan's like, who the hell is this Cruz guy? And all of a sudden he becomes a superstar receiver for the Giants. So you have stories like that. I mean, Puka Nacua from a couple of years ago, same deal with him too. I mean, he becomes a superstar receiver. So there are some cases like that where these dudes shine in these big time moments during these games. You might not know who they are now, but you will know who they are come regular season. So I think it's invaluable for those guys to get the game reps, but us as the fan base, maybe we don't necessarily always see that. So I think we got to keep that in perspective too. I definitely understand where you're coming from in terms of like, hey, maybe just keep it this joint practice. You could still evaluate these guys, but there is nothing like the actual game when the lights are brightest, right? It's just different.
100%. I agree with that. But here we say in Ireland, when our inter-county teams play or their season starts, there is a league for each of them, each province that they'll play in. It's called, we have the Connacht FPD League. So you'll play your new guys and you'll play a few of the regulars.
Mm-hmm.
And in soccer, when the Premier League starts over here, they'll have a preseason where they're always building up their team. So first game they might play 3 starters and bring on guys and take them off. But by the time they come to 2-3 weeks out, they're playing a lot of their starters. They're playing a lot of their, and they're also playing the way they're going to play for the season. Same with the Gaelic as they go into the National League and then into the Championship. You're always making your team and setting your rhythm up and how you're going to play. As I say, I'm new to the NFL, as in I'm only really following it 3-4 years, as in really following it. But watching preseason, it's you don't see that with an awful lot of teams. Like like yourselves, I follow the Bills. You will see glimpses from like the Bears last year. They put out their starters at the start against us. They did the same this year, but they're, as you said earlier, trying to prove themselves. But for the likes of the Bills, Josh Allen isn't going to play. Your offensive line ain't going to play much. Like there last night, as I was saying to Mike, I was up at 4:30 Sunday morning, so I fell asleep for a while. I woke up, it was 7-0. The Bears ran in a touchdown, it was 14-0. Mike White was pathetic with 3 balls, and they punted it away. And then down goes the Bears again, and then I turned it off and went to bed. But you weren't learning anything because it was there, as in there was no excitement. There was no, it's do or die. The guys that are playing, yes, they have to prove themselves, and I agree with that 100%. But he's not playing tactics that he'll play in week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
None of them. I'm not a huge fan of the actual preseason, yeah, and all the stories, yeah. But the games, if they had a bit more bite, then or if there was something that you'd see during the season, like what we did last night against the Bears, you're not going to see an awful lot of it, if any of it, during the season.
Yeah, Trev, your video is a little off in your audio, but it's back now. Good.
Yeah.
Maybe Jake and I are putting too much stream. We're taking up all the bandwidth, and it's causing some issues back there in Ireland. But no, I mean, Jake makes a great point. It is really about evaluating those youngsters, and we're fortunate enough to be able to do that. And again, I agree with you. If they took that out, sure, you can evaluate and practice and scrimmage games. But I think it's, like you said, getting them in more of a scrimmage atmosphere, lights on, fans in the stadium, getting them used to that. And it is what it is. It'll never go away. And for the diehard fans, sure, they love to watch these type of games. They love to look at the individuals. That wasn't fun for me. Don't get me wrong. I was expecting a little bit better game, but it was fun to watch. There were some key guys that I was keeping an eye on. So it's good from that standpoint.
Right. Well, we have Weston. He's a regular viewer with yourselves.
That's
yeah.
a guy.
Well, He has came on and he's left a few comments. Hello, Weston. You're very welcome to the show. His neighbours are in Ireland right now, getting ready for the Iowa State Kansas State college game in Dublin this weekend.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's in the Aviva this weekend. They have it's called Week 0, I think, and
Yep.
for one of the first games, Week 0, Dublin has had it for the last. I was at the Northwestern Wildcats and Nebraska there in 2022 game.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was an amazing atmosphere. It was a very good game as well. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, the last few years they've had big teams over, but there's a big game now on this weekend. So it's the kickoff of the college season. Do you follow any college teams over there, or are you just college football fans?
I do. So Rocco Becht is the quarterback for Iowa State, I believe, and that's Anthony Becht's son. Anthony Becht is a former first-round pick, played tight end for the New York Jets, and now is the head coach for the St. Louis Battlehawks in the UFL. So kind of a cool thing there. I know that Iowa State has been pretty damn good over the last couple seasons here. I think they're ready to take the bull by the horns, and I think they're going to give Kansas State a run for their money here and probably win this game. But, K-State, I feel like they always kind of fly a little under the radar. I'm not really sure about their team this year. I'm kind of curious to see what happens there, but this is Big 12 football. Expect a lot of points to be scored, and it's going to be an exciting game, Trev. So definitely pay attention to that. I love that you're able to go to that Northwestern Nebraska game. Like, that is awesome. That's Big 10 football. So there's like the power. They used to call it the Power 5. Now it's really the Power 4 because the Pac-12 is sort of disbanded. But you got the Big 4 conferences, as in the Big 10, the ACC, the SEC, of course, and then the Big 12. So this is great stuff. This is the highest level of college football. So, yeah, definitely keep an eye on that. And, I mean, there's guys that are playing in this game that are going to be pros next year, probably guys that are going to be on the Buffalo Bills next year.
Oh,
Hopefully.
Yep.
Fingers crossed.
Not for me, Trev. I got too much on my plate already. Really haven't followed. Like, I'll watch the playoffs. I love the playoff time. I love the new playoff. When did that come out, Jake? Where they started doing the playoff type?
It's been going on for quite some time now. But yeah, did they actually expand? I think they expanded it out to even more teams this year. So that's really exciting too.
Yeah.
College football is just. There's something to be said about it. I think it's just because most of these schools play in these smaller towns. They're college towns, quote unquote, right? So NFL towns, they're not really towns. They're cities. Outside of you have your small market teams such as the Buffalo Bills, the Green Bay Packers. There's teams like that in the NFL that are kind of close to that college atmosphere. But most of these NFL teams, they're based in major cities, and it's just a different vibe compared to the college game. The college game, there's just a little bit of a different atmosphere, and it's just awesome, man. So yeah, this is an awesome matchup. I'm excited. I love college football. I breathe it. It's fun to watch these up and coming stars, and yeah, I'm fired up for it. Can't wait.
That's the stuff. Watching it last year, and I did enjoy the playoffs, and it was very exciting in the season, but you've seen some of the college players, they not to drift too far into it, but they did turn down going to the draft this year to go back to college for another year because of the money that's in it. Is the money too much in your opinion for these young men at their stages in lives, or do you agree with how things are going down at the minute?
It's good and bad for the game because, there are these schools like Alabama that have all the money in the world to throw at these guys. There's some smaller schools such as the University of Buffalo, which is right in my backyard. That's where I graduated from. Had an opportunity to work with that team a little bit. I was initially I went there to be a walk-on wide receiver there. So I got to kind of experience the overall, college football atmosphere and kind of what that was all about. Now, when I was there, NIL was not even a thing. That has sort of shifted the landscape of college football in a way, but it's also great because these guys do not have an opportunity to work a 40-hour week. They're not able to work even part-time jobs for the most part. Their job is playing college football. And what a great business model, right? Like the NCAA is just profiting off their name. I mean, you look back at a great example. We went down to play Baylor. This is back in 2012. I want to say 2012 or 2013. This was just after Robert Griffin III had won the Heisman at Baylor. And the amount of money that he brought in for Baylor University was astronomical. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars. And on top of that, not only were they able to build a new stadium from his Heisman campaign, but they also built new academic buildings. So it benefited the entire university, not just the athletic side of it. And I feel like a lot of people are so like, hey, they're getting money through that scholarship, but also the amount of money that person is bringing into the school is 10 times the amount of what their scholarship value is, maybe even more, usually more. So I have no issue with these players getting paid. I do have an issue with how these funds are being applied, because it's gotten to a point where you have these outside boosters coming in, and I feel like it's almost while it's benefiting the game, it's ruining it in another way. So there has to be a happy medium, and I don't feel like they're at that just yet. And I hope they do come to like a middle ground with that, because it's getting to a point where these like SEC schools and these big time programs are throwing so much money at these players that it's almost making the playing field way less level than what it was even before, if that makes sense. And the transfer portal is another thing too. I mean, it's obnoxious.
Yeah, that I agree. I do like that they're incentivizing them to stay in school, in school, right? And
Sure.
I don't know, Jake. Do they know? Do they publish what's the top paid college player? Do they?
That's a good question. Let me look that up. I'm going to look that up real quick.
Because it'd be interesting to see. And then some of these players, Trev, they may never have a chance. I mean, they may get to the NFL, maybe don't last very long, but they're getting paid along the journey of playing college football. And like Jake said, they don't have jobs, so they're bringing in that income. And some of them, I'm very curious to hear what the top ones are getting. But I like the fact that they're staying in school. We always want our kids to stay in school.
So last year, just to give you an example, the top paid NIL guy was actually Shedeur Sanders at $6.5 million.
Wow.
After that, it was Travis Hunter, who was making $5.7 million. Quinn Ewers was $2.8 million. Arch Manning was $5.5 million. So, I mean, you have these names. These guys are making potentially more money than what they would make in the NFL.
Yeah,
Shedeur Sanders' contract in the NFL is a fraction of what he made last year. Crazy.
Yeah. That is a lot. So knowing that's a bit much. That is a bit much. Let's just put that out there.
Yeah.
Well, like 5.5 million for 1 year. If I'd seen that in my lifetime, I'd be.
I don't know what I would do. Yeah. Crazy.
But that's the thing. Like, is that's that amount of money? Is that's, as you said, Mike? Some of them might make it, but the guys that I think was the quarterback from Georgia. Is he gone to Miami this year?
Carson Beck.
Carson Beck. Yeah, he wouldn't go into the draft. He went back to Miami for another year. And is he getting something like $4 million or something like that for the year? I could be wrong now with the numbers.
No,
but
you're right. I think that's correct, Trev. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, wild.
So, but good luck to them. Fair play is what I say.
Right.
So getting away from the college thing for the minute, the season is coming, and we have Baltimore Ravens in week 1. And it's a rematch of one of the playoff games last season, where I don't agree with, but I want to hear your thoughts, that because of Mark Andrews' drop, that Baltimore Ravens didn't beat us in Buffalo. Now, I thought we'd have still won the game if he caught the ball or not, but with the season coming, what are your expectations? I know we're fans and I know what we want, but what are your expectations for the season? And what do we need, or where do we need to improve more than last year to get over the line, even when we are playing against the referees in Kansas? That we I can't let that go. I'm sorry. But that we will get over the line. And Mike, I'll let you go first.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So my expectations are what they've been for over 50 years. Get to a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl. In order to do that, obviously, I think some of the biggest challenges are the team right out of the gate, Baltimore. I think Baltimore's the biggest challenge. I think they're a little bit bigger than the Chiefs this year, but the Chiefs always knock us out, so I can't really say that. Those are the two teams. In order to get over the hurdle, hey, we got to get out of our own heads, but we had to improve on defense. Defense has let us down in a lot of these games. Although some will say, Mike, you're lying. Last game against the Chiefs in the championship game, sure, they gave up quite a few yards, but they got a critical stop at the end of the game. It gave Josh Allen the ball with, I don't know, plenty of time to go down and win this game, and we failed. But I think the defense is the big piece that we got to improve on, Trevor. And we did that in the draft. And we have two, and then in free agency as well. We got Hoyt, who's out for 6 weeks. That guy's been really looking good in camp, getting a lot of press in camp. He looked good in preseason. And then I can never say the other gentleman's name. Who's the other one that's suspended for 6 games? Defensive tackle. Yeah. So it's great. These youngsters are going to have to show up early. And then it's nice to know that depending on what's happening, these other two guys that come back in week 7, it's going to just take us to the next level. So it's all about defense. Everything up front, if we can be stout, we can get more pressure on quarterbacks. It makes everything behind us easier, right? The corners perform better. The safeties, maybe we have a weakness there, as Jake talked about earlier on. His concern is about the starting safeties. But if you have everything good up front, makes everyone behind it look better. So I think it's more on the defense, and I think that's where you saw Bean and McDermott focus on in the draft, as well as free agency. So that's what I have to say about it. Super Bowl or bust, buddy.
Amen, Mike. Yeah, you said it very well there. I think the biggest concern for me, obviously, it definitely has to be the defense. I think really, if you go a little more in depth even on top of that, it's the third down defense, allowing these big plays to happen on third down. It has been a thorn in our side for so many years. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like that bend, don't break motto and kind of banking on that other team to make a mistake, which has sort of been the motto for the last however many years since McDermott's been here. And it does work, don't get me wrong, but against these great teams like the Kansas City Chiefs, it might not always work. Now, the Ravens are an interesting team because they always have a great regular season. But when it comes to the playoffs, they just seem to kind of melt a little bit. And you talk about the Mark Andrews play last year, you can call it like a win because of that play, but there were a multitude of things that happened. I think coaching, in addition to that, kind of let the Ravens down, and we know this better than anyone because I feel like Sean McDermott has kind of failed in big moments at times too with his coaching. So I think the Ravens and the Bills are kind of similar in the sense that they have these amazing regular seasons, but when it comes to these big clutch, big time moments, it doesn't always work out in their favor. And, both teams are kind of looking to get over that hump. The biggest thing too with the Bills, you talk about the third down defense. I think the pass defense in particular needs a ton of improvement. And, you could say what you want about Christian Benford leaving that game, against the Chiefs last year in the playoffs. Kyer Elam did not play his best football game by any means, but is it really a matter of Christian Benford being in the game? Would we have won if Benford stays in the game? I don't know. Maybe. But on top of that, I still think we need a little more help with that pass defense. And, it starts up front. Absolutely. I agree with what Mike said. And I think they really made an effort to go out and get guys like that. I mean, not only did you double down with, drafting guys, you start off in free agency by signing a guy like Joey Bosa, who could still get to the quarterback and play at a high level. You get guys, veteran guys, such as Larry Ogunjobi. You get Michael Hoyt, who had a sack yesterday, by the way, one of the more positive things to see out of yesterday's game. And I know those guys are suspended, but, you're adding depth and then you're drafting younger guys to build for the future. So, I have a lot of hope for this team. I think it absolutely starts up front. But, there is a little bit of concern. We drafted a corner in the first round who is now injured. Is he going to be ready for week 1? Is he going to even start? Trey White's probably going to be that guy, right? Mm-hmm. From the looks of it. And then you look at what our depth has done in the preseason. Hasn't necessarily been amazing, but you've seen some great things out of guys like Jordan Hancock, to Corey Couch, and some of these other guys that are more even roster bubble guys. And I think Hancock's actually going to get some meaningful snaps this season, whether it's at the safety position, nickel position, whatever it may be. I think you're going to have to find a way to get him on the field one way, shape, or form. But that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, just to add to that, I mean, in that game against Baltimore in the playoffs, the drop was one thing, but the Bills had 3 turnovers, and the Bills were living on. They had the best turnover differential in the league last year. I don't think that's sustainable. Yeah, I don't, and so they need to get that defense improved big time. Both what Jake said and I were at the front and the back. I mean, last year, if you look, that game, the Ravens were really coming on. They yardage. They had more yards, 416 yards to 273 for the Buffalo Bills. We don't get those turnovers, we don't win that game. And I don't want to have to rely on turnovers. I want the defense to get stops and, give us more opportunities on offense. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, defense was where we have been missing for in the big games the last few years. But do we have, like you've seen in the Super Bowl, that the Philadelphia Eagles, when they went at Mahomes, they had the up front, the power to go and crush him, and they crushed him.
Yep.
Like Jalen Carter, he was he's one of my. I didn't think off the field things when he came into the league. I wasn't a fan when the stories that were out about him, whether they're true or not, I don't know. But on the field, he has been awesome for them. Do we have that? Like, do we have the likes that can go and put pressure on a Patrick Mahomes, a Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts when it comes to it right now? And have we improved from that since last season?
Go ahead, Jake.
I absolutely think we've improved, but the problem is, while it looks like it on paper, a lot of these guys that are new to the team really haven't proven anything. I mean, 3 of them are rookies, essentially, right? You talk about TJ Sanders, Deion Walker, and Landon Jackson, right? So those are 3 guys that are unproven as of right now, while they were great in college. And maybe they've shown some signs in the preseason where it's like, hey, they could play in this league. They haven't done anything yet. So they have a lot to prove. And, I think some of these guys are going to be playing behind some of these veterans they can learn, such as a Landon Jackson, right? Like, he's going to learn behind Joey Bosa. One of the biggest knocks on Landon Jackson is the fact that he doesn't have a whole lot of moves in his pass rushing arsenal, but he's an absolute specimen. So can you teach that? Can you make him better? Can you, make him less raw than what he is? I absolutely think so. And I think, he can play in this league. Absolutely. So, time will tell, but there has been an effort to make that defensive line a better unit. So I think right now, where we're standing here in 2025 compared to where we were last year in 2024, we're absolutely better up front.
100% agree, Jake. With Bosa alone, if he can stay healthy, there's a lot of ifs here. If Bosa can stay healthy, right?
Yeah.
But you got Bosa, Ed Oliver, you got Groot, and then you got Deion Walker. I love the big guy. The big dude right in the middle. We got Daquan Jones, of course, but Deion Walker, I think, is going to get a lot of play, which will help out Ed Oliver greatly. So yes, we're better. And the big question mark is, can Bosa stay healthy? Because if Bosa doesn't, then we're going to have to rely on A.J. Epinesa, who's great depth piece because he's been with us for years, but he's not that closer. He hasn't been proven to be that closer for us. And then you got Javon Solomon, who I'm very high on as well. I'm high on him because Jake was high on him, but
love him.
No, I see the kid's got some great moves off the edge, and I expect him to elevate this year. So yes, 100%, we're better. And then you got, like you said, the Hoyt, who's suspended. He's looking good, so much better, Trev, for sure.
I agree with you. Sean Kula, hello, my friend. It's good to see
let's
you.
go, Sean. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
And Jake, for you, is it Super Bowl or bust as well, or where do you? What's your expectations for the season with everything that's done?
God, it's Super Bowl or bust with a caveat, because it is so hard to win a Super Bowl. You have to have not only a great team, but I feel like you have to have so many things go right. Whether that just be staying healthy, whether that just be, honestly being in the right place at the right time. Sometimes there's a little bit of luck involved. I think
There's a
great
lot of luck.
teams kind of create that luck for themselves, if that even makes sense. So, while it is Super Bowl or bust, I feel like that's the feeling every year. There's only one team at the end of the year that's hoisting up that trophy. It is hard to win a Super Bowl. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that as an excuse. But shoot, and I know Peyton Manning eventually got one, so this is kind of a tough example, but it's like you look back at those battles between the Colts and the Pats back in the day when Tom Brady used to go up against Peyton Manning, and it was like the same type of deal where the defense would sort of fail him, and sometimes Peyton didn't have the greatest games, but sometimes he would just go off, and it's like, man, this guy can't get help. I mean, you look at this game last year against the Chiefs, we scored 29 points. 29 points should technically be enough points to get you a win. But the Chiefs scored 32 points. So did the defense fail us? Maybe. Did the offense fail us? Yeah. I mean,
Definitely.
Dalton Kincaid had an opportunity to catch that pass. So there are so many things that you have to take into account, and it is hard to win in the NFL, not just a Super Bowl, but to win a game, period. So, the consistency is fantastic. I wouldn't trade that for the world. But you get a ticket to the dance every year and you keep falling short. It definitely starts to wear on you. I don't know if it's really wearing on the ownership too much. I think they're very comfortable, but absolutely, I'm going to say it right now: Super Bowl or bust. Let's go.
Yeah, it's
we
the
have
same
the
it's the same mentality
we have the
every year,
guys.
right? And we haven't got a ticket to the dance because that's the Super Bowl. The dance is the Super Bowl. We're close.
Amen. Yeah.
And there's 12 teams that have never won a Super Bowl. It is super hard. I 100% agree with Jake. Not only do you have to have a very good team, you have to have some luck along the way. For instance, it's escaping me. The tight end for the Ravens dropping the ball in the end zone, right?
Yeah, Mark Andrews.
Andrews. That doesn't. You can throw that guy that ball 100 times. He's catching it 99 times and get a little lucky, right?
Sure.
Who knows? Who would have won? Probably still might have won. I would hope they had the momentum for sure. But again, you got to get a little lucky. Got to have a good team, good coaching, and super difficult to win. So every year, rinse and repeat. Super Bowl or bust. If it's a bust, we take the summer and recover. I'm sorry, not the summer. We take in between, right? From the season ends to the season starts, we recover and we're back at it again. Super Bowl or bust.
So,
Jake,
and
even during the drought, I mean,
yeah,
every year you had to have
I was
that,
saying it,
right?
Yeah,
right.
You could basically book the Buffalo Bills going 7-9 every year because that was like the motto, right? But Trev, I have a question for you, and I don't know if we've ever really talked about this, me and you at least. But I think McDermott is beloved amongst his players, and I think what he has done here in Buffalo is incredible. He's revitalized the culture, but I feel like the fan base is a little divided at times. I think people love him in general, but there are these moments. And again, it's like you fall short to the Chiefs. How many times can this happen over and over again? Are you amongst those that feel like maybe it's time to move on from McDermott? And if so, why? And who would you replace him with? Tough question.
It is a tough question. And to be honest, I wouldn't move on from McDermott. If the game in Highmark last year when he went for the 4th and 2 and Josh Allen had that amazing run that put the game to bed, he wouldn't do that previously in them games.
Agreed.
He took his chance. And good luck to the Chiefs. And it's nothing to do with the Chiefs. Whatever happened that night I put down losing the AFC Championship game down to mostly officiating because there was 3 or 4 big calls. It wasn't one, and everyone gets a bad call here or there. And that 4th down that was a first down has been proven so many times. And the ref on the blind side called it, and he couldn't see it where the ball was. My point with that is if the Bills got that first down, which it was, the Bills would have had possession. The Chiefs wouldn't have gone down the field. They wouldn't have had the ball. And we can't say maybe Josh Allen might have thrown an interception next ball. Maybe they would have gone 4 and out, whatever. We don't know. But you get to that point of if that happened, if the right thing was called, we would have had a different game and the result may be different. Josh Allen has never played bad against the Chiefs in either a regular season game or a playoff game. It has always been down to mostly that the defense couldn't keep out the Chiefs when things go wrong. But if you said to me, would I get rid of Sean McDermott? Well, who are you going to get? Like,
Yeah.
He has built a culture that I love. This is the reason why I love the Bills, right? You have the fan base. The fan base live and breathe Buffalo. And I'm very passionate about Mayo GA. I'm very passionate about Arsenal football team, and I'm very passionate about the Buffalo Bills. But the reason being is because their fans are passionate. That's part of it. The second part of it is when you put on that jersey, that's your jersey. Soccer sadly has gone to the stage where you could wear an Arsenal jersey today and someone could go and give you 50 million extra and you're gone to Manchester United tomorrow. Josh Allen, and he has bought into, he probably did bring some of the culture with him, but he's bought into Sean McDermott's culture, right? Where I read a quote, and some things you read on the internet are fake and some aren't, I don't know, but I read it and I loved it. Was he was offered 75 million to go. I know it's the Jets to the Rams, and he said no, he wants to be a Bills legend. He could have gone to the bigger market of Los Angeles or New York and got paid more, and who knows, maybe win Super Bowls, maybe not. But because of that culture and because of what Sean McDermott has brought, he decided he wants to stay with Buffalo and he wants to retire as a Buffalonian. And by the sounds of it, James Cook now wants to do the same thing. And if your culture is crap, you ain't going to do that. You're going to say, well, I'll take the money, but I'm getting out of here. But these guys want to stay and they believe in Sean McDermott. We like safety. I am concerned a bit about safety this year, but I do like what they've done in the draft. I just hope these guys can adapt to the scheme, and when they're asked to do their job, they do their job. And if we can put pressure on the quarterbacks, then our defense has a better chance of functioning in the backfield. And then who knows, we might get Josh Allen on the field more often, and then we dictate how games go. We have an offensive line that's as good as any in the NFL, and they've worked on that for years. Joe Brady has made an awful difference. I think Bobby Babbage has made a difference too in the defense. And it's down to Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott. Now, there comes a point where I as a Mayo fan, have been at 11 All-Ireland finals and seen 0 wins, right? And like, we've had teams where it's been a bad call, it's been a bad management call, it's been a player just missing a chance or whatever. It's all part of football. But never once have I walked away and say, frig them, I'm gone, right? As a fan, you'll always come back. But Sean McDermott will come a point, it won't be my decision, but there will come a stage where either this year or next year, it's going to be Super Bowl or he's gone. And the only reason I say that is I was lucky enough to be at the Titans game last year to get to Buffalo and see it. But there was a point in that game early on where the offense didn't click for the first quarter and a bit. And fans were booing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, we did win the game easy enough in the end, but so there is an expectation from the fans that this team is going to have to win. And if we hit a wobble, or if we don't perform or get to an AFC championship or a Super Bowl or even win it this year, I'm here in Ireland. I'm not going to make a bit of difference. But the people of Buffalo might make a difference. And as good as the culture is, someone might say, look, we've done this so many times, we've got to the dance so many times, but we've never got to go off with the queen of the show, and I won't be calling him for his head. He is the guy in my eyes with Brandon Beane that has started this beautiful journey, and I hope he sees it out, and I hope he gets the Super Bowl. But I don't know, will the people of Buffalo wait as long as you know what I mean? Like, you're paying for the tickets, you're going to the games. They're not cheap tickets to go to. You know,
No,
you have the
no.
best. You have the best quarterback in the league. I love Mahomes. He's a great footballer. Don't get me wrong. But for me, the best quarterback is playing in Buffalo. And maybe that's tinted goggles or glasses, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But he's the MVP for a reason, right? He should have been the MVP the last 2 seasons as well with his numbers and what he had to throw it. He doesn't have the top wide receivers in the game, and yet he gets the job done. He's never played bad in a playoff game. Maybe he should play bad and we win a game. You know, that you can do it without Josh Allen. I don't know, but he hasn't, and because of that, he doesn't get the full credit that I think he deserves. Yes, Mahomes has gone and won the Super Bowl. Yes, Joe Burrow has beaten Mahomes in an AFC Championship game, and they're looked at differently. But look at his numbers and look what he does. Look what he does for the community. Look how he is as a person. Look what he is as a leader. Like, he is everything. And my kids, that's who I want them to aspire to be like him. Aim to be the top, but do it the right way. And when you are the top, lead. And he does all that. And Sean McDermott has to take some credit in that. But there's going to come a point, like Arsenal had Arsene Wenger in charge for 18 years. Sorry, 96 to 2018. Yeah, 18 years. Is it 18 and 4? 22 years, sorry, excuse me. 22 years of Arsenal, right? He won them 3 titles in England. He went undefeated for a season in 2003, 2004. No other team in England has done that in modern football, right? And I don't think it'll be awful hard for any team to do it. But he sadly waited 5 or 6 years too long, and his team went to a point where it hit its peak, and the club moved stadium. Things happened. I hope it's not the same for us, but we couldn't afford the same type of players, and all of a sudden we started dropping, and fans who loved him turned against him. And there's a statue outside the Emirates for Arsene Wenger, and rightly so. But people will remember his last 5 or 6 years, which as the size of the club was crap, right? Not what he did for Arsenal. And you don't want the same happening for Sean McDermott. You know, and they were booing them at games. They had airplanes flying over, Wenger out, the whole shebang, which was totally wrong, because this man lived, breathed, and loved Arsenal and did everything for them, and he did the best he could. It's just that he got them so far. He did his best, but he should have just then said thank you and walk away. And I hope that Sean McDermott doesn't have to do that without a Super Bowl. But if he doesn't do it in the next year or two, in my opinion, with everything he has now, it's going to be hard for him to stay.
All right, so let me follow up with that for a question for you, Jake. Has such a precedence been set? Let's think about this for a second. 2 AFC championship games for Mr. McDermott, 5 consecutive AFC East titles. Let's assume he wins his 6th one this year and gets to another AFC championship, falls short. Can you think of any precedents in the history of the NFL that a coach with such a winning culture has been fired? The only thing I can think of, and I don't even know what Marty did before, Marty Schottenheimer, he had been coming off of a 14-2 season, something, if I remember correctly.
Chargers, yep.
I think that was for something else, but people were stunned with that. But when you have this resume, man, it would be something. And I'll tell you what, McDermott would be snagged up, and it'd be our luck that he goes and wins the Super Bowl, whatever team snags him up the following year, right?
It's funny. There is one guy, Mike, that comes to mind, and it is Andy Reid. You know, what he did in Philadelphia. Okay. They went to 4 straight NFC title games, I want to say, and they lost all of them. And or actually, I don't think they lost all of them. They did go to the 1 Super Bowl against New England. They lost to New England. But yeah, that's the one guy, our kryptonite, of course, right? And then he goes to Kansas City 2 years later and becomes a Super Bowl winning coach. Now, it took a while for him to get there, though. That's just it. he had to find all the right pieces still. It took him a while to build that program back up. The Chiefs were in a bit of a whirlwind, if you will. I mean, they had Dick Vermeil up to a certain point. Then they brought in Herm Edwards, and they just couldn't figure it out there. Romeo Crennel, I think, was there for a hot second, and Charlie Weiss, and they were kind of circulating through coaches, and they couldn't really figure it out. Then they bring in Andy Reid, coming off an incredible success in Philadelphia. I feel like people in Philly's a tough market. Now, they are ruthless as they come, right? So, but it's wild because they get rid of Andy Reid. They finally get their 2 Super Bowls, 10 years later or whatever it is, right? And Andy Reid also gets a Super Bowl. So it kind of worked out in both persons' favors, So that's the only guy I can really think of. But Trev, I love what you said. You talk about culture. I feel like this is such an underrated thing. And I know it's kind of laughed about a little bit, but not just anyone can come in and have their entire team, organization in general buy in as well as Sean McDermott has done. So there is something to be said about that. And I think that's why he has lasted as long as he has, because if he was just winning games and getting us to a point where it's like, hey, we're outperforming expectations, we're getting to a certain point. If he didn't have the extra stuff to follow, he'd be gone in a heartbeat. So I agree with you. I think there is going to come a time where maybe over the next few seasons, he's going to be evaluated a little bit more under a microscope because we've come so close. But then you're going to have to start over, essentially. Now, I think as long as you do have Josh Allen, you're going to be okay. But again, it's, you need everything working in conjunction with another. You can't just have an elite quarterback and, an okay coach. And I think we've kind of proven it in one sense anyways, right? So there's just so much involved. By the way, Trev, I think you just made me an Arsenal fan. So love it.
By the way, on the Andy Reid thing, he was in Philly for 14 years.
Yeah.
And he had a steep drop off. So in the second to last year that he was with them, they were 8-8. And then they fell to 4-12. So it was time. They were declining.
They had the dream team that went 8-8, I think.
Yeah,
it was.
yeah. And then it took him what? Yeah. It took it's crazy that he's only been a coach for 2 teams, and it's been Philly and KC. And it took let's see, 7 years to get a Super Bowl with KC. Mm-hmm. But again, like the signs were there when he was with Philly. It was time. But if he had gone to another championship game, Andy Reid would have probably still been there. So it's kind of hard to tell. Like, I feel like the only way McDermott gets let go, especially from Pagula, is if he has a sub 500, and where it has to be something bad before they're going to pull the plug. So, but we'll see. Interesting conversation. We could probably talk on this all night. So sorry.
Yeah.
Joe.
I would love to know, it's interesting because I would love to know like how Steelers fans feel about Mike Tomlin and how, we know a little bit about what Ravens fans feel with Harbaugh. Those guys have been there forever and they just keep winning. But at what point are you going to part ways with them? Because I feel like we're in a similar position. Sean McDermott's been here for 8 years. Like, when is it time? Like, if it doesn't ever happen, is it ever time? I don't know.
Yeah. It is interesting. Like, it's just reading some of Weston's comments there. It's so hard to win a Super Bowl. It took the Chiefs 50 years, and injuries, coaching, right signings, possible schedule, seeding, drafting, all has to be aligned perfect. And he's right.
Yeah.
And then he says Philly wanted Nick Sirianni fired before last season, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. They did, and Nick Sirianni was fighting with the fans against Cleveland last year, and they still went on and won the Super Bowl. So, but Nick Sirianni also has a culture in Philadelphia, and as you said, Jake, the Philadelphia fans don't take any prisoners.
Ruthless, yes, without a doubt.
If they have a bad season this year, will Nick Sirianni keep his job? Maybe the Super Bowl will save him, but you don't know.
Right.
I think that ring gets you definitely an extension because, like you said, Steelers coach, one of the best, considered one of the best, and he's got a ring. And then who's the other gentleman you talked about? Harbaugh with the Ravens, got a ring as well. So you get that ring, you maybe get a little more extension.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, Doug Peterson won a ring in Philly, and he was gone in what was it? Like 2 years later, he was gone. He was there until so he's there till 2020. And he was there from 2016 to 2020, wins the Super Bowl against New England. And yeah,
Did
I mean, he
they
was canned after
decline
that.
badly though in the last year or two?
They did. So there was that. And, there was the whole Carson Wentz saga and the Nick Foles thing, so there was some stuff that went into it additionally. But yeah, it's crazy, man.
That was my
Right.
favorite Super Bowl to date. Was that Super Bowl the Eagles beat the Patriots, the Philly
Yeah.
special.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Can't beat it.
So can't beat it is right. But here, like you're on about Mike Tomlin last year when the season finished. The fans from that following stuff here in Ireland, they had enough of one and done in the playoffs, and I think we don't know with our own head coach, with Sean McDermott, what's going to happen. But with Pittsburgh, if they are one and done this year or less, Mike Tomlin will do well to get back next season, I think. And I could be wrong, but it was in Baltimore that knocked them out last year.
Yeah.
And that was and wasn't it ourselves that knocked them out the season before? And it's been one and done for a long time now in Pittsburgh. So he is under pressure, even though he has a winning record every season. He still, the fans are getting to a point where they're getting fed up of it.
18
and it's
seasons,
a gamble too,
18 seasons Tomlin's coached. Is only coach for Pittsburgh. It's absolutely insane. And he got a Super Bowl in his second year. And that wasn't too far after, who was the other coach before him that won a Super Bowl?
Bill Cowher.
Yeah, so Cowher had built that team up pretty well, and I don't know when Cowher got the Super Bowl. Wasn't that much earlier?
2005, and then Tomlin won it in 2009.
Yeah. Yep. So it's crazy.
It's crazy.
2008.
So just going into the season, we've talked a bit about the Bills. If you were to pick two teams from the AFC and two teams from the NFC, who are those four teams that are going to be our main challengers for this season in your eyes?
Okay. The old man will start. I'll start with the AFC, and I'll let Jake do AFC. Let's do it that way. AFC, NFC. Start with the AFC. Obviously, I said the two, but I think if there's, I said the Ravens and the Chiefs, but I think a sleeper is the Chargers. I like what they did last year, and they have a great quarterback, and they could be a sleeper. Those are the three in the AFC for me. Jake, you're probably going to say a little similar, but maybe you can find another sleeper in there as well.
Yeah. You know what? Don't sleep on those Denver Broncos.
All right.
Do not sleep on those Broncos. I think they are. I know Weston's not going to love this, but they're here to make some noise. I think Sean Payton has really built a nice team over there. They found their quarterback in Bo Nix. It's been a long time since the Broncos have had a guy. I mean, Peyton Manning was the last one, but he was on the back nine of his career. He won a Super Bowl when he can barely grip a football. When you've had a 10-year hiatus since you've had a legitimate offensive playmaking quarterback, it's something that Broncos fans have been craving for quite some time. I think they have a lot of weapons there. They have a ton of young running backs, so it's going to be interesting to see how they work this year. And they have a great young defense. They have the defensive player of the year in Pat Surtain. I mean, Nick Bonito. They got some dogs. Zach Allen. I mean, they're loaded. That's a good team, and they're going to challenge everyone that comes their way. So I like the Broncos a lot. Another team I would say that I think you got to really look out for. I'd have to say, I think the Texans can still make some noise. I know that they've kind of fallen off a little bit. Joe Mixon's banged up right now, but they are super well coached, and that defense is stacked. Like, that is such a good secondary that they have. They are incredible up front, and Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. I mean, they are legit. So on paper, they still look really freaking good. I know they have some injuries at the receiver position too, and of course the running back position, as I just mentioned. But that team's still good. So I think they're a team too, and I think they'll win the AFC South, no problem.
Jake, we need you to adjust your camera there. I mean, you just got smaller. Like you've been
I see that.
shrinking this whole show. I'm like, what is happening over there?
You know what
Somebody threw
happened?
water on you. There you
No,
go.
you know, my
Much better.
thing fell over a little bit there.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting
Like
too excited.
which of the West where it threw water on them and
Slowly,
melt and
slowly sinking.
funny. Jake, why don't you go first on the NFC side?
NFC side, yeah, I mean the Eagles are here to stay. I mean, there's no doubt about that whatsoever. You look at another team too. I mean, the NFC East is going to be interesting because I think the Commanders are actually pretty legit too. There, Mike. I mean, Dan Quinn has done some great things there. You talk about a culture shift. It has been incredible, but I don't want to get into that because I feel like the Eagles are still the team in the NFC East to beat. So, the NFC North is going to be a gauntlet. Like that's going to be crazy, man. Will the Bears be a better team this year? Absolutely. But does that mean they're going to win the division? Absolutely not. I mean, you still got to go through the Lions who are, they lost Ben Johnson, they lost Aaron Glenn, but like that team is still extremely good. They're still super well coached. And Dan Campbell, man, he makes you want to run through a wall. So I still think they're the team to beat in the NFC North. Another team too that just really isn't getting a whole lot of notoriety, is the Rams. And although Matt Stafford's injured, like the Rams were this close last year to potentially competing for a Super Bowl. Like they were very close. They were right in the running there. So I still think the Rams have a really good squad. Puka Nakua's killing it. I mean, even if Matt Stafford doesn't play, they got some dogs as the backup there. Stetson Bennett's been crushing it in the preseason. But they just re-signed Kyron Williams. I know they got rid of Cooper Kupp, but they get Devontae Adams, and they have Puka still. So they got some pieces there.
Yeah, so Jake stole all the teams. I mean,
I'm sorry. I just went
he
through all of it.
He couldn't even leave me one team, right?
Well, look what Weston's saying. I like that, Weston.
I've heard that somebody else say that. But for all the teams you said, I think Sean McVay and the Rams, you got to watch out for them for sure, 100%. I think I heard Stafford is back. So I think I heard that recently.
Yeah.
So he's expected to play week 1 for sure. But yeah, well-coached teams. Let's talk about the Bucks. We got Baker, right? Baker quarterback. And I don't know if Baker can win it. I'm going to say this. Hopefully I have no Baker fans out there. But when I seen a Baker, I love him. I love the dude. Love his feistiness. I don't know when the game's on the line. I could say that about Josh Allen too. But when the game's on the line, I don't know if he can get it done. That's all I'm saying. But let's talk about the Bucks for a second, Jake. We got Baker. Who else they got on? Well, they still have Mike Evans, of course. But who else is over there these days?
They re-signed Chris Godwin. They drafted Emeka Ibuka. They got Bucky Irving, great young back. And by the way, they have Jalen McMillan, too, who they drafted 2 years ago at the receiver position. So Cameron Brate's a really good young tight end. The offensive line is pretty solidified. That defense is still good. They re-signed Levante David, who is still playing like the pros pro he is. Antoine Winfield. I mean, the list goes on and on, Mike. So that team is pretty damn good. Okay. I think the Bucks are, I could see them absolutely winning the NFC South for sure.
Listening to a few different shows, 2 teams from the NFC that have been tipped to go well, whether it happens or not is a different thing, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the Vikings are coming to Ireland to play the Steelers at the end of September. Addison's first game back will be that game after suspension. Now, I've seen a few clips of him in week 1 preseason. And with JJ McCarthy, they looked awesome connection-wise, but it was preseason, so you don't know what it'll be like when season kicks off. But they are two sleepers that people are tipping over here anyway. I have a question for you. Well, it's a 2-part question. Will Aaron Rodgers make a difference to the Pittsburgh Steelers, or will he cause the same drama as he did in the Jets? And the Cleveland Browns today announced Joe Flacco as their starting quarterback. What does that mean for Shedeur Saunders?
Great questions, Trev. By the way, I mistook. I don't know why I'm saying Cameron Brate. What am I thinking? This is 2020. They have Cade Otton at tight end in Tampa. So hand up on that. That's on me. Sincerely apologize for that because I got to get that right. To your question, what does Aaron Rodgers mean for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Does that take them from a 9-8 team to even a 10-7 team? I don't know. I think A-Rod can still absolutely sling it. The biggest issue with him is his mobility, and that has been sort of his sneaky weapon in the past, is that he's able to escape when he needs to, and he keeps defenses on their toes. Now he's kind of lost a little bit of that, and I think that's why you've seen him struggle at times. I think, as far as a teammate goes, I know a lot of people don't like Aaron Rodgers, but most of his teammates actually really do like him. I know, yeah, and I understand, because the optics are not great. Like, the guy does not help himself whatsoever, and I think he kind of likes playing like that villain role. But as far as his teammates go, they seem to really like him. I think him and DK Metcalf are going to be kind of special, to be honest with you. I mean, you give him a big weapon like that, a guy that can run vertical. Yeah, it's something that he really, I mean, I know he had Garrett Wilson in New York and even Devontae Adams, but I think the way that the Steelers are built, with a really good running game and a somewhat decent offensive line, I think they're absolutely going to be better. I mean, you saw what they did last year with a Russell Wilson and Justin Fields combo. So, do I think they're going to be a Super Bowl contender? No. But do I think they'll be a playoff team? Absolutely. And I think they will be better than what they were last year. So, certainly. What was the other question? The Shador Sanders thing?
Yeah, well, since the Cleveland Browns have announced Joe Flacco as their starter.
Yep.
I would take it Dylan Gabriel, Kenny Pickett are still ahead of Shador by the sounds of things from Cleveland. Will they release him, or what do you think will happen to him? Or will they trade him?
I think he's going to remain a Cleveland Brown. I think there's a lot of things that can happen with a 41-year-old quarterback at the helm, and I'm rooting for Joe Flacco. I hope he absolutely crushes. But I think you keep Shador on the roster there. Let him learn behind the wily vet. And when it's his time, it'll be his time. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, if you're telling me Flacco, Rodgers, I'm taking Rodgers all day for the win here, right? And I think Rodgers is going to excel with Pittsburgh. I think he wants to go out. He wants to end his career on a solid note. I don't think he's had that the last few years, but this is his opportunity on a very well coached team. And I think he's gonna do extremely well. I think Flacco will play, and once they start losing a few games, the fans are gonna call for Sanders. Sanders is exciting, right? You know what his dad did. We've seen Shador, and I saw him in the one preseason game. He looked pretty darn good. They're gonna want to see him out there. So I think it really just comes down to, how does that Cleveland team, what kind of start do they get off to? Flacco will play as long as the team's in contention, or unless he's hurt, of course. And I'm with Jake there. I'd love to see him stay healthy. Never want someone to be injured. But if that goes off the rails quickly, Sanders will be playing some football.
And I'm going to ask you a question now about our backup quarterbacks. So you've seen Mitch Trubisky, we've had him, and we've had Mike White in the last year, and we have them again this year. At the minute, when you looked at Tyson Bagent from Sunday night with the Bears as a backup quarterback, is he far ahead of what we have? And if anything ever happened to Josh Allen, do you trust either of them two guys to come in and make us competitive? And hopefully nothing ever happens.
I hope not either. I think Mitchell Trubisky is the quarterback too, without a doubt. I love Mike White. This dude is tough as nails, and we've seen it firsthand here in Buffalo when Matt Milano nearly killed the guy. The dude is awesome, but I just feel like Mitch Trubisky is going to be the QB2, and I think Mitchell can get some things done. You put him with the starting offense, he's not going to be Josh Allen, but I think he will be functional with the offense. And I think there's a reason, obviously, that he was the number 2 overall pick back in 2017. I mean, what he did in Chicago, even for like 2 years, was somewhat impressive. He went 12-4 as a starting quarterback there. I don't think they did him any favors. I think it sort of derailed his career a little bit. And even in Pittsburgh, it wasn't necessarily the best fit. But here in Buffalo as the backup quarterback, I hope to God that he doesn't have to play, but if he does, then yeah, it's not the absolute worst thing in the world. I think he's one of the better backups in football right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's Mitch's job for sure. White didn't do himself any favors last night, and just with Mitch's mobility, gives him the edge, in my opinion. And of course, like Jake said, all the experience that comes with Mitch. So, and if for me, if we were to lose Josh Allen, obviously for a long period of time, I'm not sure how that would fare. But we've seen it in the past. I can't name you off the teams, but a team can rally. If it's a couple games, a team can rally. Your defense has to step up a little bit more. And again, depending on how well our defense is, that would make me feel a lot better, right? If we had to bring out a Mitch Trubisky. But we got a great run game. That's the beautiful thing about the Bills. We don't just depend on the passing game. Hand that ball off, and Mitch can do the job for a couple games, and I feel pretty confident. So goes beyond a couple games. I'm a little worried, but who knows? Who knows? Other things, bigger things have happened before. But
quick question, Mike.
Defense, yeah.
Quick question. Back in the 90s, when we had Frank Reich as the backup quarterback for Jim Kelly, how did you feel when Jim Kelly went down with an injury and Frank Reich had to come in? Were you certain that the Bills were still going to come out with the win?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. Like Frank shocked me in that game against the Oilers, right? That big comeback. Biggest comeback. And no, and even in the Super Bowl, I know Kelly went out in a couple of the Super Bowls, actually, right? And so no, I was always kind of like, oh, it's like if Josh Allen was going on today, that's how I felt.
Would you feel better about Mitch Trubisky or Frank Reich as your backup quarterback?
Boy, I mean,
great question for you.
Looking back, because I know now, right? I know what Frank could do, so I'd feel better with Frank.
Yeah.
Again, we had a great team as well back there. I mean, we were heavy pass, but if we had a great running game as well. So Frank, I'd feel a little more comfortable with for sure.
It's also a difference.
Yeah, he had the biggest comeback in college history, and he had the biggest comeback in football. Still holds it for the playoffs. I know it has been done. Somebody just beat it recently over the last couple of years.
And then I want to say he was the head coach of the Colts when they lost to the Vikings in that great comeback game.
Really?
They then beat the Bills for the greatest comeback of all time. I think he was the coach. I'll have to look that up. I want to say he was. Let me look. Maybe he wasn't. He might have been with the Panthers at that point.
That'd be crazy. Great trivia question.
Yeah.
Trev, we gotta ask. I did research a trivia question for Jake because he's all about trivia. All right. So you mind if I ask him this question?
You ask away, Mike.
One of these guys. So Peyton Manning and Tom Brady played in 4 AFC championship games. Who got the best of those games?
I believe it was. So let's see. If we go back to 2003, Tom won that one. 2004, Patriots played the Steelers, so it wasn't Peyton then. 2005, neither of them. 2006, Peyton won that one, so they were 1-1. When was the next one? So that would have been with the Broncos. I think it was Peyton, 3-1.
Dude, look at this guy. I mean,
is that right?
Serious.
Yeah.
3-1. Yeah, 3-1. I thought it was reversed, and I don't know why I was doing that research today, but I thought it was reversed. I thought it took Manning many tries to finally beat Brady, but it wasn't the case because I was trying to compare Josh Allen struggling against Pat Mahomes beating Josh. It's not really a one-on-one; it's a team game, but I was looking for something similar there, and I was a little surprised when I found that out. But look at this guy, 3-1.
I love it.
He's not even living in this times. He's not even born yet.
I mean, I was there. I mean, I watched it. I was younger, but I was watching. By the way, that trivia question about the Vikings and Colts game from back in 2022. Frank Reich started off as the head coach, but he was fired. Jeff Saturday then took over, so he was actually the coach of the Colts then. That would have been awesome, though. I mean, what a trivia question. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, Jake knows his stuff.
He does.
Absolute encyclopedia. So
Thank you, sir. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Trev, I love it. I live, I breathe it. Like my poor wife has to put up with this every night. I'm in, we're sleeping next to each other. She's trying to go to sleep, and I'm over here on Pro Football Reference on my phone. The lights are all out. My phone is glaring, and what am I looking up? Freaking Pro Football Reference stats of random NFL players like Kadri Ismail from the 2001 season and how many yards he had receiving that year. That's just who I am.
Well,
Crazy.
It could be worse, and it's a good thing.
That's right. It could always be worse. Amen.
It could
brother.
always be worse. So it is.
Yep.
Just one or two last questions before we go, because I'm very appreciative of your time, and it's been a brilliant conversation so far. I'm going to ask Ichi for one player you're going to watch for the Buffalo Bills in this 2025 season, and why, and also one player that's not a Bills player, doesn't matter what team they play for, that is one to watch for the 2025 season.
All right. Can I take this one first?
Oh, yeah.
This is an easy one for me on the Bills.
Yeah.
And that's Landon Jackson. I'm watching this kid, and it's crazy because this is how things went for Landon Jackson. Didn't even know about the kid, right? And didn't know anything about him. And my son brings him up. This is way before the draft. It's like, Dad, have you guys looked at Landon Jackson? I'm like, who the heck's Landon Jackson, right? I'm like, okay. So I do a little research. I'm like, okay. Then you see what he does in the not the draft, but the
combine.
What is it? Combines. You see what he does in the combines, just crushes it. And you look at his size, you're like, oh my God, this dude could really make a difference for the Bills. And I'm still thinking, not going to happen. People that I want just don't get drafted by the Bills. Doesn't happen. I have all kinds of guys that I want them to draft. Doesn't happen. And again, this came about with my son. And then I brought it up on our show. Remember, Jake, I was telling you this story.
Oh, yeah.
About Jonah, age 13, being the best scout the Bills have ever had. And he brings up this kid, and then here comes draft day. I'm still not thinking that's going to happen. I'm pulling for him. And lo and behold, third round, Landon Jackson. I wasn't even watching the TV, but I got, I'm keeping up on it on my phone. And I had to look 5 times. Did we seriously get Landon Jackson? Oh my
crazy.
God. So I'm going to be keeping a close eye on him. We got, he's gotten off to a little bit of a rough start, but I say that, but he's like, this is a second preseason game in the NFL. He's going to be, when he's lined up with those other studs that we have on the front, you're going to see a different Landon Jackson. He's only going to continue to improve, like Jake said earlier in the show, athleticism off the chart. He's 6'4". His vertical leap is incredible. I forget what it measured at, but he's like he tied one of the, I always forget Myles Garrett for the best.
By the way, he's
vertical.
6'6", Mike, not just 6'4".
Oh my God.
Six.
So
yeah.
Can you imagine? Just get his hands up, right? So that's the guy I'm going to be watching. Will he get a lot of play time? Probably not, as long as everyone stays healthy, but he will be in. The Bills like to rotate. I do expect to see him get some game time, and that's the guy I'm cheering for. And then as far as the other team, it's got to be Ashton Genty from the Raiders. I mean, this dude was coming out of college, high expectations. You saw what he did in the last preseason game. It's all over social media how it was really just that one hit against where he tore it down. I think it was a linebacker trying to tackle him, or a safety. I don't know. He just bowled him over. So that's crazy. A guy I think is going to be exciting to watch in the NFL for the Raiders. So that's the other guy. Not a Bills player that I'm going to be watching. Maybe even drafted in fantasy football. I'm telling you, I want this kid. He's going to get a bulk of the carries, and he's a receiving back as well. That's my 2.
All right. Well, for me, being that I used to play wide receiver back in the day, I think I got to go with a Buffalo Bills receiver, and it's not going to be Keon Coleman. It's actually going to be Joshua Palmer.
Okay.
While there's some great names such as Tyrell Shavers and Elijah Moore and Stephen Gosnell, the Goatnell is what they're calling him these days. We signed Joshua Palmer as a free agent, and I think people are still sleeping on this young man. It's like, I know he's kind of flown under the radar a little bit during camp and everything, and he hasn't done a whole lot in the preseason to wow people, but he's going to be one of our starting wide receivers going into the NFL season here. So this is a man that was on pace for a 1,000-yard season back in 2023. A lot of people don't realize that. And then he had an injury. last year, he played in a predominantly running offense, more so than even the Buffalo Bills running offense. So they are a ground and pound team over there in LA. They are kind of interesting because they did somewhat similar to what the Bills did in the sense that they targeted their slot receiver more than anyone else. And it was more of like an everybody eats mentality outside of that. So same type of deal, which is why I think he's going to succeed in this offense. And I think he's going to have a better year than what he did last year because it gives Josh Allen something that he hasn't had in quite some time. You're giving him a bigger target that can stretch the field with his game speed, not necessarily his 40 time. People look at that 40 time, they're like 4.5. I'm not impressed by that, but his game speed is really impressive to me. He works the boundaries extremely well. And to me, that is something that the Buffalo Bills have sort of been missing. You could say what you want about Gabe Davis. He kind of gave us a little bit of that ability, but I think Palmer is faster. He's still young. I think he's just turning 26 years old here. And I think he's building some rapport with Josh. You know, you can kind of see that a little bit in Hard Knocks. And by the way, if you're not watching Hard Knocks, tonight's the night, you know, so definitely do so. But yeah, Josh Palmer, man, I think he's going to have a nice year. I'm not saying he's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver, but he's going to be a guy that contributes heavily to this offense. And people need to stop sleeping on him so much.
Love it.
Another guy outside of the Buffalo Bills who I've been really keeping an eye on is none other than Hunter Renfrow, a darling who had over a 1,000-yard season with the Las Vegas Raiders a couple of years ago and kind of fell off the face of the earth, was dealing with some stuff, you know, health-wise, you know, very serious stuff. I think it was something with it was some type of like disease or something like that. So anyways, he's back. He's with the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers have an interesting receiver room because they're kind of loaded. They have Ted McMillan, who they just drafted, Adam Thielen, Xavier Legette. But you have this darling who's been shining in training camp, been doing what he does best, running routes and making the tough catches, doing the dirty work, and Hunter Renfrow. So I'm keeping an eye on him. I really hope that he comes back and wins Comeback Player of the Year. I don't think he's going to go off necessarily statistically, but I love that he's back in the league. So this is a dude that doesn't look like an NFL player whatsoever. It would be just the ultimate comeback story just because of the position he's in, and also because I feel like a lot of people have always slept on him throughout his career too. So Hunter Renfrow.
I love that, Jake. It was an autoimmune disease. I'm going to try to pronounce it. Ulcerative colitis.
Okay, that's yeah.
So it caused them to miss the entire season, the 2024 season. So love that story.
Great story, and great picks for me. I see Weston has said his players for the Chiefs is Big Bob
Tunyon. Yes.
And then one from another team to watch is Jackery Krosky Murray.
Yeah.
In the Commanders.
So running back.
Yeah, he's also said afterwards that the Commanders are looking to trade Brian Robinson Jr.
Yep.
You know, like they must have real faith in Jackery. So if they're going to move away from Brian Robinson, but like it's there is so many different players and different positions. I would be like yourself, Jake, looking at the wide receiver room, but for me, I would be looking at Keon Coleman. I think he had a good year last year. And I hope, and apparently from what we hear from training camp, he's connected with Josh Allen brilliantly, and it's looking good for the season coming. I hope that, like, Kahil Shakir for me is number one. I love Kahil Shakir, but I hope Keon Coleman can, like with Josh Palmer, you know, produce and give options and cause hassle to defenses. And if he can kick on from last year, I think it'll make us a stronger offense going forward.
Love that.
Love it.
So the last thing I wanted to do, and as I said, I could stay here all night talking to you. I'm awake now. I'm flying it.
It's late your time too, Trev. I appreciate you.
Oh, look, I would have stayed up till 6 o'clock in the morning for the show. So I would. Is the Nickel City Mafia? What is going on for the Nickel City Mafia for 2025?
Well, we got a lot planned. So obviously we do our post-game, pre-game shows all season long. I'm just trying to show this amazing sweatshirt that you got us. So where is it? I'm doing it injustice right now. What the heck? It's like the best built um, hoodie I've ever seen.
Look at that.
So it's incredible. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
Nickel City Mafia, we got we're always looking to do something new, and I don't know what that'll be yet, but we'll come up with it. Obviously, we'll do the post and pre games, but there's so many people doing that. We're always looking for. I'm hoping to get the fantasy football stuff going on again. We have Trench Talk, which is Mr. Sean Kula. He's going to be doing that for Nickel City Mafia, where he actually looks at both the defense and offense and how they did. Gives his grading and his ratings throughout the season. I don't know if Jake's doing any more pigskin poetry.
Well, we'll be
but
back.
That's a little bit of fun there.
Yep.
He shares his love of just all the stuff that him and Ian have. They've been best friends for what? Since how long have you known Ian now?
We were 5. Yeah,
5
so
years
going
old.
on
So those guys
27
love to
years.
get on,
Yeah.
and they talk about the craziest things, but just all about their love for the game. So, Trev, and we hope to have you again on our show in the near future. I'll have to figure it out so you don't have to stay up super late. But yeah, so lots on the horizon. We're actually looking to do maybe a giveaway this month. We need to do something special when they introduce those rivalry jerseys, which is slated to be on the 28th. August 28th is when they're going to reveal those. And I think a couple people should get one of those in a giveaway. So anyhow, lots of the same, some new. We're always looking to experiment. I'll let you know. Jake, anything you want to share?
No, I'm excited for the future here. I mean, this is awesome. Trev, thanks so much for having us on. I love the new logo, by the way. It looks fantastic. So sharp. And listen, next time you're here in Buffalo, we're getting wings. It's on me. And I can't wait to do it. And I hope I can get over to Ireland at some point. That's like a bucket list trip I want to take. And would love to just meet you finally in person. We got to get it done.
Yeah, my great-great-grandfather came over from Ireland for the Thorntons. So, we have the whole tree. So
one day, with the help of God, we will. And
that's right.
The Irish connection, when I was over in Buffalo, I got to understand it more in South Buffalo, how big the Irish connection is in Buffalo. And, it surprised me because I knew about New York and, about the other big cities with Irish connection, but I didn't think Buffalo would have as big a community of Irish people as it does. And it's brilliant. And they are the most wonderful people, no more than all Buffalonians. And I'm glad they're my team. I'm glad that I've met wonderful people like yourselves and the Schroders that brought me over and so on. And it's one of the best things I have done in my life because I get to make friends like yourselves and chat with you about football and life and stuff. And it's a pleasure. And one day we will.
Our pleasure too. Look at that, hour and a half. This is what we average all the time on our shows. We could have gone for 3 hours, but I know my wife's like, "Come on, you told me you'd be done in an hour." And I always say this to her. I feel like I have to lie to her all the time. It's terrible.
Tack on an extra hour every time we say 1 hour.
I need to. Need to really.
Well, I tell both wives that I appreciate you giving the time. So thank you very much. So that is it for tonight, folks. Thank you very much for watching. It'll be up on YouTube to watch if anyone wants to watch it after. And thanks for your comments, Weston and Sean Kula. It's great to have you are my first comments on the live show, so it's all new to me. So it's very
Appreciate
welcome.
You, boys.
And thanks for all the support, Mike and Jake. I wish you the very best of luck in Nickel City Mafia and everything you do in the coming season and coming year. And I'll always be here to support you, and I can't wait. Whenever the call comes to come on, I'll be there. And thank you very much. And lads, let's hope for the Super Bowl. We'll take one game at a time, roll on the Ravens in week 1, and let's get the season going. And always, my friends, stay safe, stay happy, and go Bills.
Go Bills.